All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to In the Lab with MYAVANA. I am Tanisha Billups, your hair analyst. I have Coach Stacey here with me. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I am Stacey. I am Coach Stacey, your hair consultant. Welcome to our show.
All right. So today, our topic is high porosity hair. And I'm really excited about this one because I actually have high porosity hair. So let's get into it. All right. So the myth about high porosity hair is that it only needs moisture. So we are going to go over what else it needs aside, because it definitely needs moisture. Absolutely. What it is, what it needs, how to care for it, or just we're on the case, right? So we'll go over the challenge,
Mhm.
the analysis, the solution, and the education. So our challenge is that high porosity hair prevents length retention. So typically when you think of high porosity hair, oh my gosh, my hair is just so dry. Why is it always so dry? And then we know that dryness causes breakage and splitting, and then your length, then no length, right? All
Right.
right. Okay, so let's, oops. Am I on Do Not Disturb? Let's make sure. Okay, sorry. Now I'm on Do Not Disturb. Alrighty, so let's define what high porosity hair is. So high porosity hair, there's this great definition on the internet, and I was like, this is perfect for what we need. So the extent to which your hair absorbs and retains water, products, and treatments based on the integrity of the cuticle. So I thought this was really key because normally we just think of high porosity of in reference to water, right? We don't think about it in reference to products or treatments or how you care for it, and all of that has to do with your hair being high porosity.
Mhm.
Okay, so I went over the definition, um, and I said that it's influenced not only by genetics, but it's also influenced by care. So, how you take care of it, and then what you can do having high porosity hair as well. But keep in mind that on your head, you can have different versions of porosity. So, it can be low, it can be high, it can be normal on different sections of your hair.
That's so correct. Tanisha, in the consultation, it's so interesting because porosity is like a big topic, right? So everybody gets on, and it's so funny because when they get the results, then they're like, oh man, I thought I had low or I thought I had high.
Right,
And sometimes it's the actual opposite, or sometimes it's not always what they're thinking.
right.
Other times it's just a whole bunch of product buildup on the hair. Yeah.
Yes, which if you have product buildup on your hair, that is going to automatically make your hair low porosity because the cuticle is closed practically. Nothing can get into moisture or hydrate the hair strand. So if you have product buildup, if you have severe product buildup on the hair, you're not regularly detoxing and cleansing,
Hmm.
you have low porosity hair. If I see that,
Right.
it's an automatic low porosity, which may not necessarily be the genetic porosity of your hair. Just might be due to the product buildup, the mechanical manipulation, and things like that.
That's absolutely correct. But the other myth where they can get it like confused is, oh my gosh, my hair just sucks up everything. So you hear that. It's a common term. It's like you put water on my hair, it sucks it all up. It sucks
Okay.
it all up. It sucks up all of the product.
Mm-hmm.
And then the big question is, so you put more product on there and it's still sucking more up. What's the ultimate outcome? Well, the average person thinks moisture, but what they're actually looking for is shine and don't realize it's product buildup because it's dull.
Right.
And it's
Right.
so much product that's just sitting on top of there getting dull. So maybe if we cleanse more often.
Right. Yes. I always like to tell people when I hear things like, "Oh, I just shampoo my hair." Like, I don't shampoo. I just co-wash, or I just shampoo like once a month. I'm like, okay, one, let's think, would you do your skin like that? Like, think about just only showering one time a month
Mm-hmm.
and just adding lotion on your skin every day.
Run for the border.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so let's go over this image, um, comparing porosity. So low porosity, your cuticle is more closed. Normal, it's slightly open and closed, meaning it can receive moisture into the cuticle. And high porosity, things just kind of flow in and out because the cuticle is so open.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go over the analysis. So you all know this is my favorite part because this is my baby. So, okay, so what does knowing I have high porosity hair, why does it matter? So it's going to dictate how you care for your hair, how much protection it needs, what you'll apply to it, how you'll apply the products to it, how quickly it's going to lose water, and then how well or quickly your hair takes color as well. So
Mm-hmm.
porosity is really important in the overall health and care of your hair. Alrighty, so this is what I was talking about in reference to how products and water can penetrate the cuticle layer or not, depending on the type of porosity. So, since we're discussing high porosity today, you can see that water products are easily going in and out of the hair.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Okay, so let's talk about the cuticle. Since porosity is all about that cuticle layer. So there are three types of stressors that can impact your cuticle. So the first one is configurational. So what that means is basically genetics, what type of porosity you are born with. So typically, the more prevalent is elliptical hair has high porosity, meaning individuals of African ancestry, because our curls and coils are going to twist in different directions that can
Mm-hmm.
lead to certain parts of the cuticle layer being lifted. So that's genetic porosity, which we don't really see a lot of because everybody has so much product buildup, or they have color, or they have other things that have altered or stressed their cuticle layer. So the second thing is mechanical. So what that means is daily maintenance practices. Are you over manipulating your hair with combing and brushing? You're not being gentle. Hydro fatigue is another really good one. Repeating wetting and drying, so swelling and deswelling of the hair cuticle can damage it over time. And then, of course,
Mm-hmm.
thermal styling, right? Heat. Heat can
Heat.
absolutely
Heat.
heat can absolutely
Mm-hmm.
damage your your cuticle. So the last one is chemical, which we touched on a little bit in our color care. But so specifically, characteristics would be oxidative colorants, like we discussed before, ultraviolet radiation. So that's just environmental stressors, other chemical treatments. What are they called? The straightening treatments, the Brazilian, the keratin
Mm-hmm.
treatments, and things like
Keratin
that.
treatment,
Thank
smoothing.
smoothing, exactly. And then harsh products as well when it comes to chemicals. So let's just touch on the color part since we covered that in our color care and why porosity is so important in considering when you're going to get color because high
Mm-hmm.
porosity hair um, accepts hair colorants faster and differently, right, than
Mm-hmm.
normal or low porosity hair would. So correct me if I'm wrong, Coach Stacey, but when you're applying color, if your hair is high porosity, it may look and make it feel differently than if your hair is low or normal porosity because of how the cuticle layer accepts the color.
That's exactly correct. And you know, one good example is decolorizing the hair or bleaching.
Hmm.
So it will make the hair feel like straw,
Oof, dried out.
completely dried out. Yeah,
Dried out.
like straw or hay. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So excellent. All right. So I wanted to also, let me see what's next. Okay. So let's go over some images now of what high porosity hair looks like. And I'm just going to point out a few things. So this hair strand from this customer is actually relaxed, just
Mhm.
relaxed, though no color. Just relax. You can see here, like the cuticle is literally raised in that area. Also,
Mhm.
they've clearly done some thermal heat styling because it's flat. It's
Mhm.
flat. And then we also have pigmentation missing in here as
Mhm.
well. So you can all see that those are indicators in the lab specifically of what high porosity hair looks like. This one is chemically treated. Um,
Right. And then you could also, just to point out, you
mhm,
also can see that left strand over there. It looks like it's about to start breaking
mhm,
because it's kind of leaning, but you start to see the fabric of the hair starting to separate itself.
right, exactly. Okay, so this is like you were speaking about bleached um, and colored. So there's all of this pigment loss, and it's kind of interesting because it doesn't look high porosity, right? Like when you think high porosity
Mhm.
open cuticle, you would think it looks like an open pine cone.
Mhm.
But with this hair, since it's bleached,
It's pretty much translucent.
right?
you
Right.
you can almost see through it.
Exactly, exactly. So you can see a lot of the cuticle layer probably gone, missing
Mhm.
in action. Absolutely. This is actually an Asian strand, and you can see that they have product buildup one.
Mhm.
So if I saw this strand in the lab, initially their hair would be high porosity because it's also relaxed. But because of the product buildup on top of the hair, you can see all these specks
Mhm.
of product buildup on the hair that actually will make it lower in porosity, even though it is relaxed, which would make it high in porosity because the product buildup is just sitting on top of the hair strand like that.
Right, but the difference in that strand, as you mentioned, Asian, so the strand is much bigger.
Right.
Uh-huh. So
Yeah.
there's more layers of cuticle.
Hmm. That's an excellent point. Yes. Asian hair tends to be coarse in
Mhm.
texture. And when we say texture, meaning the diameter of the strand, even though
Mhm.
it may feel smooth because of the product buildup.
Right.
I
Right.
don't know.
That's a I mean, that's a good topic that we definitely gotta touch on because the myths in understanding what fine, coarse, and medium is. Y'all make sure y'all catch up with us for that topic.
Right. Right. That's we definitely need to do a dive into that and clear up
Mhm.
some confusion. Okay, so let's go over the solution. So solution meaning product recommendations when it comes to high porosity hair, what you should use, and then we'll talk education and some of how it should be applied. So the key concern is moisture retention, but that's not the only concern. So deep conditioners and protein treatments, you always want to have a balance
Mhm.
between protein and strength and moisture and hydration. Thicker and
Mhm.
heavier products will trap in the moisture. So what that means is once your hair is well conditioned and you use your steam therapy to really hydrate the inside of the strand, then you can apply products on top that will seal in that moisture for high porosity hair. So oils act as sealants. I'm always very weary about recommending oils. I know people
Mhm.
love them, but
Ooh. If we had stock in oil,
right?
oh, we would be
Oh my
rich
goodness.
right now. The amount of oil that I mean, that's I hear it all the time in the consultation. It's like, so I can't use oil.
Right.
But how am I going to moisturize my hair? So
Exactly.
can I have some oil? And
Mm.
we're so addicted to oil. So that's we need to just set up oils anonymous therapy for our customers because
Mhm.
oil is addictive, but understand it is a sealer. So it's the end, it seals the deal.
Right.
So I want to touch on the first part that you were talking about when you said deep conditioners and protein treatments. So,
Mm-hmm.
this is something good to get a better understanding, because everyone always thinks like, so what product should I use for a deep conditioner?
Mm.
Coach Stacey said it. Let's just be clear.
Let's.
Deep conditioner is not the product, it is the process. But the product that is used for deep conditioning has the benefits that the hair needs. So you got to understand what the hair needs. So when we say
Right.
my hair is dry, or I got high porosity hair, or it's low porosity hair, or it's breaking, it's splitting.
Yeah.
So before we can go to the product to say, okay, this is the product that you need to use, what caused this?
Right.
Because we got to stop what causes it first in order to be able to compose a solution for
Mm.
you that's going to be tailored for your hair texture and type,
Right.
because no two people are the same.
Right.
So we have to understand what started the problem so that we can get to the solution. Now the solution is the deep conditioning process
Mm.
along with the protein treatment in combination. So that's under a hair steamer. The hair steamer gives you the deep conditioning process.
Mm-hmm.
The conditioners, the deeper penetration has a lot to do with the benefits of that conditioner.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is good tea right here.
That's
That is
juice.
excellent. Excellent. Okay, so when we talk about normally, right, when we talk about products, a lot of them are either referred to as a mask or a protein. So if deep conditioning is the process, then is it best to mix your protein with your mask or rotate them biweekly or
So it really depends. It depends on what the hair needs. And keep in mind, straight protein is not what we're referring to. So there are products that have a higher amount of protein than others, or there are products, that you can mix. Like, let's just say, for instance, in the consultation, one of the things that I like to focus on when giving the individual their hair ID, the
Mhm.
hair ID is your hair type, texture, the health condition of the hair, porosity, density, and the elasticity. There's three areas that I like to focus on that tell the truth about what's happening.
Mhm.
That's the health of the hair, the porosity, and the elasticity. Those three things are going to determine what we need to do. So the solution is, do you need hydration? Do you need protein? Or do you need moisture? Or do you need a combination
Right.
of all three? So that would determine. Now, we can combine them, or there are some products that are designed to have all of the benefits in one. It also depends on the product type, the manufacturer, and your hair texture and type as well.
Mhm. Exactly. So when it comes to high porosity hair, though, we're always looking for occlusives. So water repelling, they're going to prevent water loss and seal in. So those are your oils. However, most times we want to avoid products that have significant levels of humectants because that's going to make your hair frizz. It's going to make the hair strand swell, which is going to further push open your cuticles and
Mm-hmm.
higher porosity hair. One thing that I recommend or the system recommends a lot in when it comes to high porosity hair is apple cider vinegar rinses. So let's just touch on that a little bit and the benefit
Mm-hmm.
of the apple cider vinegar rinse because it's definitely one of my favorites um, when it comes to products and having high porosity hair, having naturally genetic high porosity hair because I don't have color or anything in my hair now. Not to say that could
Yeah.
change.
Right.
But yeah, so when it comes to apple cider vinegar rinses, so they tend to balance your pH. So that's talking about the health and the care of your scalp, which is where healthy hair comes from the inside out, right?
Mm-hmm.
It clarifies as well. It's a great clarifying agent in addition to And then it's a natural conditioner. So you really get the best of all the worlds combined in one product.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have anything to add about apple cider vinegar?
I think you said that well.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna have to give you a cosmetology degree.
I need it. I need it. Well, okay. So then let's just make sure that we explain how it should be used, and I'll let you take over that and the ratio when it comes to water. Diluting it properly.
Mm-hmm. So typically, when we talk about the ratio as far as water, like it is definitely not recommended to go straight with apple cider vinegar.
Right.
That's like dipping your head in acid
Yeah. You don't want.
and
Yeah.
sitting there for a minute and then wonder why we're crunching and itching and
Right.
irritated and so forth. So, definitely there's several different ways that it can be used. Like, one, I like to say you can mix it with water or with your shampoo. So we would say like, 1 to 1/2 teaspoon of the apple cider vinegar.
Mm-hmm.
So, just like if you were drinking apple cider vinegar, it's like a capful or a teaspoon.
Right.
That's it. Not like me, like I like to turn the bottle up sometimes. That's just me because, don't judge me, but that's sometimes I do that. But it's not recommended all the time. And there's several different reasons because it can irritate your esophagus, it can irritate
Right.
your stomach and tear up the liner. So if it does all of that to the inside, just imagine what it can do to the hair as well with just going straight, turning up just like that. So you definitely want to dilute it. So 1 part, 2 parts, or 3 parts, depending on your hair texture or type, along with the amount of hair that you have.
Right. So should I shampoo first and then condition and then apple cider vinegar rinse, or what should be the order? What's the proper order for using it?
You want to start first with the apple cider vinegar rinse.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely the benefits of that is removing buildup,
Mm-hmm.
definitely cleansing the scalp. So you want to start with that first and then go with your shampoo and then your conditioner.
Okay. Perfect. All right. And then I always say this. I have to say this because I have to tell my mother this and I have to tell everybody this. Sleep on satin or silk,
Yes.
please. Just
Please.
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 Just please.
Listen, I'm 50 years old, so now I've been doing this since high school. Now I don't know what's this lay down on a pillow and wake up with a bird's nest.
I don't know.
So and then trying to fix it to get it right.
Right. And
So, I'm old school. I believe in, tying the hair up with satin or silk.
mm,
So that's just a given. That also keeps the hair healthy. It
exactly.
also if by anything, because moisture is a big thing, it retains the moisture in the hair so you don't lose any moisture.
Right. When you lay
Mhm.
your head on that cotton pillow, it is pulling all the moisture from your hair strands.
Exactly. And if the hair is having any challenges, like especially like if it needs protein,
Hmm.
protein is strength. So if you're not sleeping on satin or silk
Exactly.
and your hair needs protein, the reason why it needs protein is because it's not strong enough, so it keeps breaking and it keeps splitting. So if you want to keep the hair on your head, then to retain the moisture
Right.
and also to retain the amount of protein that you've already deposited into the hair shaft so you don't do any further damage, satin or silk is always the best key.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. So that leads us into education. So I always want to touch on the consumer perspective, right? So when we talk about education, what are the characteristics of high porosity, and then how do we apply what we've just discussed more, right? So, from the consumer perspective, high porosity, your hair dries quickly, just to determine, right? So your hair dries quickly. Excuse me. It probably maintains that dry feeling, so it absorbs the water really fast, but it also releases it. So your challenge is that your hair is dry and brittle. Like Coach Stacey said, it lacks shine, so it's dull. That's always something that people with high porosity hair say, experiences excessive frizz. So that challenge would be definition. And then breaks easily in some cases, and that leads to our length retention um,
Mhm.
topic. So when it comes to education, I always like the lock method. I feel like specifically for me and my high porosity hair, leave-in or a liquid with the oil, which sometimes I kind of skip. Y'all know how I feel about the oils. And then the cream, I normally like to do a cream and then like a gel, but I have been
Mhm.
experimenting with mousse. But that's the lock method. So LOC, LCO, however you like to rearrange the letters, because there are a bunch of different ways
Mhm.
to help with. So hydrating from the inside out and then sealing in that hydration and moisture so that you
Mhm.
can maintain your moisture, have your length retention, have your shine, no brittleness, no dryness, and just have beautiful, healthy hair.
Mhm. Absolutely. And so, I like how when you talked about the lock method, right? Because in the consultation, everyone gets the general steps, right? Because the general is basic. If
Hmm.
you stay in the area of basic, what's customized is what we put in those basic implements. And so there's four steps that I always give everyone.
Hmm.
And those four steps is step one, detox cleanse, step two, balance, step three, protect, and step four is seal. So that lock method goes in
Right.
step three and step four. So
Mhm.
LOC is in three and four. And the reason why is I give it to the customer from this perspective. When we get to step three, protect. That's your leave-in conditioner.
Mhm.
That's where you begin to start protecting everything that you just did in the beginning because the hair is going to receive everything that it needs in your shampoos and your conditioners, right? So if it needs protein, if it needs moisture, if it needs hydration or a combination of all three. You're going to get that in step one and step two. Step three is protect. So in protect, that's your leave-in conditioner. So if you're doing the lock method, liquid leave-ins.
Mhm.
So your liquid leave-in conditioner and some liquid leave-in conditioners provide not just a barrier of protection, but
Right.
they also provide strength for the hair. So it begins there.
Yes.
Okay. Step
Yes.
four, seal. That's your oils and your creams.
Mhm.
But if you layer it up that way, then if you're twisting your hair, you shouldn't wake up the next day and have to go through that process all over again. The whole purpose of layering is to prevent from reaching and grabbing on a daily basis to
Right.
prevent product buildup.
Right.
And if you sleep on that satin pillowcase or a satin bonnet or a silk scarf, guess what? You're not losing any of that.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. And I think that's a great point is also avoiding the hydro fatigue. So maintaining your moisture and not wetting your hair every day.
that's right.
So the lock method is definitely one of my favorites. What I use consistently to keep
Mm-hmm.
my hair moisturized, maintain my length, and all of that good stuff.
Exactly. And so, speaking of which, because we're talking about education, if y'all want some of this good stuff, then send us an email at support@myavana.com and say, I want to sign up for your next class. Will you send me an email and let me know when your next class is coming up?
Mhm.
And we'll show you that lock method and how to properly do that.
Our hair coaching class, right? And of course, get your hair analysis kit so I can see what your strands look like, and we can take care of you, consult, analyze, recommend, and educate. So you can find out what's going on with
Absolutely.
your hair as well as what's recommended for what your hair goals are and what we see your challenges are as well.
Absolutely. And then book your consultation with me.
Right.
Okay. Because you got to get into my club. I'm sorry. If you're not in the club, then you might not get me.
Right.
I
You'll
don't like talking to you. Might talk to the bot. You might not talk to Coach Stacey. So we want to talk to Coach Stacey because we have fun.
yeah.
And I have an amazing community, and you guys have no idea. the amount of momentum that's created in the community and what our customers are absolutely saying
Right.
about their results and how they're able to overcome. And it's not taking forever.
Right.
It's just that they decided to do one simple thing: create a habit. That's it.
Mhm. This is good. Create a habit. Healthy hair care is a habit.
It's a habit.
Absolutely. This is great. Okay, so let's summarize what we went over before we close on our high porosity in the lab with MYAVANA case study. All right, so went over high porosity hair, how it dries quickly. It tends to be prone to frizz. It can be weighed down. Let's see, we talked about how to care for it and which products to use. We talked about the lock method and how to maintain and retain your moisture.
Mhm.
And what else? And anything I missed? I think I touched on everything.
You
Where you
touched
get high
on
porosity
everything.
hair from. Okay, excellent. Anything else that we need to add?
Nope. Catch us next week for the
Catch
next
us next
topic. But for
week.
those of you, like, here's what you have to do. All you got to do is simply go to myavana.com. You go to
Ivana.com.
myavana.com, download the app. So when you download the app, guess what? It's FREE. It's free. Free. Okay? Because we all like free. So when you download the app, then you create your profile. Once you create your profile, that automatically gets you into the community. Okay. And so then the next thing is to get to the big stuff, to get to me and to get to Tanisha and to get to anybody else within our team. Then what you want to do is purchase a hair analysis kit. Fill out the questionnaire, book your consultation, wait for your results, and then you hop back on with me. Let's talk about these solutions. Let's talk about moving forward. Let's build a plan in place that's going to be tailored to you. And believe me, it works. Okay, stick to the fight with your hardest hit. When things seem worse, don't you quit on your hair.
Right. This is great. Thank you all so much for joining our episode of High Porosity Hair in the Lab with Maya Ivana. And we will see you next week.
Yay!
Yay,
Bye, everybody.
bye. Uh-oh,
We're still live.
it's still live. Okay.
Yeah.
Where? Well, let's see if we had any questions.
Mm-mm.
Um, well, having a technology issue, so just bear with us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a question. Since we have a little bit of extra time, when it
That's
comes to
fine.
high porosity hair and using mousse, I am trying to experiment with mousse.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't know what I'm doing. Basically, because I'm so used to using creams and gels, it's like my go-to. I get
Mm-hmm.
definition, it ages over time and it gets big, it lasts a long time. With mousse, I feel like I get my hair for like one day.
Mm-hmm. So tell me, when you're using mousse, what is your desired style that you're trying to achieve with the mousse?
So I'm just doing a wash and go. I would like for it to age slower instead of having like what I would consider 5 day hair on day 2 or 3.
Ah, okay. So that's technique.
Okay.
Okay. Because you still can achieve that with the mousse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I just gave this tip to someone else because I actually do it with my hair. Like if I just try to run my fingers through my hair with some mousse, yeah, I got 20-day hair by day 2. So it's definitely an awful hot mess. But
Right.
so remember, when we get to the protect stage,
Mm-hmm.
step 3 in the process. So
Mm-hmm.
once you use your leave-in conditioner, my recommendation is that you section the hair in 4 sections.
Okay.
Put leave-in conditioner on each one of those sections, secure it and secure it away. Go
Mm-hmm.
to your next section, leave-in conditioner, secure it away, right?
Okay.
So once you got all 4 sections of the hair with leave-in conditioner and detangle, go
Mm-hmm.
back to the first section. And I usually like to start from the back. So what you'll do is start to take subsections out of that one section.
Right.
And so it's a slower process. However, you'll take a little bit of section, probably maybe about a quarter to a half inch section.
Okay.
Apply some mousse to that, right? And so since my hair is loose, then I can demonstrate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you apply the mousse, probably about 1 pump to 2 pumps. You
Okay.
got a lot of hair, so you may need two
I
pumps.
need lots of pumps.
Okay. But keep in mind the product carries throughout.
Right.
Okay. So 2 pumps is probably no more than 2 pumps is what you should need.
Okay.
Start with 1 pump first and then take your fingers because it's already detangled. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to take your fingers and start to roll that product,
Through.
massaging that product in, right?
Okay.
If you need more, add another pump. Do the same thing. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to make sure that you're evenly saturating that section that
Mm-hmm.
you just pulled out. Then you want to take your fingers
Mm-hmm.
and you want to start to do this
Mm.
and let it go. And then you go back to another part. You do
So,
that and
okay.
you let it go.
Okay.
Okay. It's going to take a little bit of time when
Yes.
you do it.
But it's
Be
basically like the
patient. But if you want those ringlet curls,
right.
right, and you want it more detailed, and then you also want it to last,
Mm-hmm.
that's the best way to do it. Now, here's the trick. Once you've completed the whole entire head,
Mm-hmm.
now, if you want a part on the side, if you want a part in the middle, make sure you're doing it in that way, right?
Right.
Once you're done, don't pick it,
Don't touch
don't
it.
comb it,
Right.
don't fluff it, do
Right.
absolutely nothing.
Right.
And the reason why, when you tamper with the goods, guess what?
Mm-hmm.
That day 3, 4, and 5 hair, that next day you're going to get that simply because you didn't allow the product to activate and for the hair to settle right.
Oh.
Now, so I like this is where like my little kids like to have fun. So like little boys when I do their hair, right? And that we do wash it goes because some of these little boys, and I love it, they want curls. They don't want to twist, they don't want to roll up, they want curls, kind of like that Jerry curl look, right? Because they
Okay.
got a lot of hair.
Right.
So I'll tell them wait about 10 minutes after you've completed everything, about 10 to 15 minutes. Give your hair a good shake.
Mm-hmm.
When you give it a good shake, those curls are automatically separating and bouncing up. And
Right.
what they end up doing is stacking on top of each other.
Okay.
Once it's completely dry, and several times throughout the day, you're just going to give it a little shake. Just shake it a little bit because it's fluffing and stacking some more. Now, what you don't have, or you may have, I don't know, but I recommend this with a lot of our customers for the wash and go. It's the lock sock. The lock sock for a wash and go, I recommend that to the customers. Not a satin bonnet,
Right.
it's the lock sock. My daughter calls me cold head at night, but I don't care. But you know what? I figured it out where I could get a wash and go on Monday, and by Friday, my wash and go still look like it did for Monday. And it's because of the lock stop. So I know we have that pineapple method.
Mm-hmm.
We're banding the hair up, but guess what? We got bumps and bruises and frizz and bends. Okay. So for me, I look like Mustafa the next day if I put a band around it. So what I do is I use the lock